I have a feature presentation prepared, and tonight we're going to do the draw, the lucky draw, for 2 lucky winners of a VIP Platinum Pass to the Ocean Summit in Dubai in November. So you don't want to miss out. Call your friends, get your gang together. This is the time for us to hang out together, to share information, to get excited about the stuff that's going on, and to join together to show the power of what it means to be a MetFi. Okay, so for this week, I have prepared a little bit more information on Web3. Now, if you attended a couple of weeks back, we featured the whole concept of Web3 and how that's going to impact the world of the internet of the future. Now, why would they call it Web3? Well, the reason they're going to call it Web3 is because this is not just new innovation. This is not new things going on in the tech space. This is viewed as a whole new era of the internet. So Web 1 was what they call the read-only internet. It was where online information was available. It could be news, it could be different entertainment and so on, but it wasn't interactive. It wasn't a two-way dynamic. In Web 2, as they termed it, that was when we started having a lot more mobile phone use. That's when we started having interactive websites, social media, and comments and sharing and all this kind of thing. That sort of read and write internet. However, Web 2 came with some problems related to people's personal privacy and personal information. Some people weren't happy that the big tech giants who benefited in a massive way from that whole Web 2 era were using that information, the information that belongs to every individual that uses the internet, in different ways. And so that brings rise to the demand, the need for there to be a new internet, a new era of the internet, which has been termed Web 3. And one of the key dynamics and what makes Web 3 possible is, well, you need to verify things, you need security, you need all these things. So every time you need these functions and these different services, well, always in the past, that's depended upon centralized entities, like, for example, Facebook or Google or whoever it is, Amazon, Apple. All of these big tech companies, they have grown so quickly and so big just because of everyone's reliance upon these centralized platforms, which then comes with a trade-off of, well, they have all of our personal private information, and they naturally profit off of that because these aren't charities, these are companies, right? So some people maybe don't feel so comfortable with that anymore, but how do we solve the problem of this issue of needing to have functionality and security without the need for centralized entities? Well, the thing that really brought that revolution to become a possibility is, of course, blockchain. Now, blockchain kind of freaks a lot of people out. I'm sure you've seen it when you've talked to people and they're like, cryptocurrency, scam, FTX, all of these things. And sure, those are real issues, real concerns, real problems that the world has faced, because every time there's new advances in technology, there's always going to be growing pains that come along with them. And there tend to be often bad actors, bad players who go in and take advantage of new innovations before regulations can have the chance to take shape and take place. So, or before we've kind of grown through those initial stages, sort of the Wild West period, It takes time for it to fall into place and to develop well. But does that mean that we won't have Web 3? Does that mean that blockchain is a big scam or something? Well, it doesn't mean that, because the whole reason that Web 3 has now lasted to this point, from the late 2000s to the 2020s, it's still with us, it's still going strong. It's been a bumpy road, but it's steadily growing. Well, the reason is because blockchain is just that powerful. And as we're going to cover a little bit more today, sort of piggybacking off the last session that we did on Web3, is a little bit more about, well, what is Web3 really? Sure, it's about DeFi. Sure, it involves crypto as well. Sure, it involves exchanges and all that. But is that really a new internet era? Well, if it was only limited to that, I don't know if we would necessarily call it Web 3. The reason we call it Web 3, the next era, is because of so many areas of our daily life being impacted by blockchain and other functionalities. So we're going to do that today. Here, this is the presentation called Web 3, right? So one moment, please. I'll let you see my happy face as I go a little bit longer here. Okay, so this is about user cases and disruption. Where is blockchain and Web3 going to disrupt regular industries and functions that we have to interact with all the time? Even sometimes we don't realize it. And I'm not going to make this exhausted. We don't have 5 hours to do a session tonight. We're going to try to go through it quickly and get the highlights, but this is just a small example of so many things that will be affected by blockchain, have already started being affected, and will potentially be affected in the future. So Web3 is a push towards decentralizing the internet and giving power back to users in the form of privacy and security. So decentralizing and giving power back to users. Key points. The technology that allowed for secure mining and minting of a digital currency, that is blockchain, is capable of so much more. And here, this is a really key quote. I really like this quote. It says, blockchain technology's core characteristics include decentralization, transparency, immutability, and automation. So 4 key factors, and that's an excellent summary of some really big points, some big advantages related to blockchain. And when I read that, it sounds a little bit familiar to a company, or not a company, actually. It sounds a little bit, see, we get so stuck on these terms, you know. It sounded a little bit familiar to a protocol and a community that we might be even talking about tonight, called MetFi, right? So decentralization, just the fact that you use a distributed ledger, a blockchain, that provides you with decentralization. Transparency. You can go to the Block Explorer and see every single transaction right there, available for anyone who wants to at any time. Immutability. Immutability means you can't change things. You can't retroactively change them. That's the whole value of blockchain, because once a block has been created, to change that block, you got to go change all of the ones behind it and all of the nodes in this big thing. So that's why blockchain is considered immutable. And automation. And this is a key one that really relates to what one of the key benefits of MetFi is, and that is the use of smart contracts. Because of smart contract functionality, these mini programs that run on blockchain, what we get is automated transactions. So if, for example, when you've referred MetFi to somebody and they purchase an NFT, you have a certain reward qualification that you're qualified depending upon your NFT and all of these other factors that you know well about, right? So as soon as you've referred MetFi to somebody and they actually purchase an NFT, well, immediately in the very same transaction that they purchase that NFT, then the reward structure gets paid because of a smart contract. And because of the immutability, well, it's impossible for that to be changed. It's impossible for that to be retroactively changed. So this is the benefit of the blockchain in the industry that we're related in right here, in this opportunity that you all share and we all share. Okay, so these elements can be applied to all sorts of industries, right? And it creates multitudes of use cases. Not just cryptocurrency, not just crypto exchanges, not just art NFTs and monkeys and apes and all this stuff. A lot of use cases and a lot of industries. One second, I'm going to turn myself up because you won't see some of the next slides otherwise. Okay, so let's look at some of those use cases briefly, all right? So, CBDC. Now we're talking about something that's mainstream. CBDC stands for Central Bank Digital Currencies. So what we're seeing now in the world today, at this very time, we're seeing the emergence of digital currencies. And you can see in this map, I'm not sure if the details are very visible, but there are already 11 CBDCs launched around the world. And more importantly is the green areas on this map are where they have pilot projects already running. So over 20 central banks have launched their pilots, including Brazil, Japan, and Russia. So the green colored countries here are at an advanced level, and you can see that it's very heavily leaning to the Eastern Hemisphere, the Asian part of the world, as well as Oceania. You can see Australia there, you can see China there, India there, the Middle East, Russia, Japan, Korea, Thailand, and Malaysia, and Singapore. You know, these are the areas that are quite advanced. They're in the pilot phase of central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, right? And 32, the teal countries, you know, that are sort of blue-green on this map, 32 countries is where it's already in development. So this is quite advanced. It's at quite an advanced state, and this is happening right now today in our world. Now we're talking about another use case of Web3 and blockchain, and that is in this new term they call TradFi, which is traditional finance. So in MetFi we use DeFi, decentralized finance. Well, TradFi is the main banking systems. Well, many people don't know that they're actually already implementing blockchain technology into their functions. And we heard prior to this in various presentations that have been shared that JP Morgan, one of the biggest banks in the world, has the Onyx program, which is their Web3 and Metaverse project. And they're doing a lot of research, they're putting a lot of money into development there, and they have actually been using a crypto token, what's called the JPM coin, for handling multi-bank, multi-currency assets and clearing and transfers, because it's so much easier and so much cheaper to use tokens on the distributed ledger. In other words, blockchain. So they're actually using cryptocurrency, which isn't traditionally called cryptocurrency, but it's the same technology as cryptocurrency. JP Morgan is using it already. All right, here you've got capital markets. Okay, capital markets, don't get scared away by this graphic. You know, it's a bit hodgepodge here, but that's on purpose. Capital markets is, of course, stock markets and so on and so forth, where they trade assets. You know, markets where different assets are traded. And of course, it's a major driver for economies all over the world. Well, you can see in the top part here where it says current state, this big hodgepodge is what is necessary for securitization. That's the processes involved. This goes to that, A and B and C and AA and BBB and all these things, and it gets pretty complex. Well, look at the bottom graphic there where it says future state. Well, that's using blockchain technology, and you can see how that whole loop, that whole process, everything about it is so much simpler and so much more streamlined. And that means also efficient and cheap. So it's impossible that these big companies and organization and financial giants are not going to be looking at efficiency tools. They are always trying to find ways to improve their profit margins and reduce their costs. And here we've got government. Government, in many cases, looks like it's opposed. It's against cryptocurrency and it's against blockchain, but in fact, if the governments apply blockchain technology, then what you get is what they're calling here the paradox of blockchain. You know, obviously governments are by definition centralized, right? There are people in power in different positions running different parts, different arms of the government. However, in the cases where they can apply blockchain solutions, well, giving up their centralized control and centralized data management, what happens is you don't reduce security, you increase security, and the systems are less subject to hacking and data theft. And why? You can just jump straight to the right-hand side here, number 3, where when distributed ledgers are used, then hackers are powerless, because you can't hack a whole distributed blockchain like Ethereum unless you have $7 billion worth of computing power. To be able to hack Ethereum as a whole, hack that blockchain, you would need more than $7 billion worth of computing power. So then you can see that why would governments want to use blockchain? Well, it's pretty self-evident. And this can affect things like currencies and payments, land registration, identity management, supply chain, healthcare, corporate registration, taxes, voting. You can do elections and proxy votes, and managing different legal entities. Now, healthcare. Here you see it again. Healthcare, any sector that involves any form of storage of information, storage of data that needs to be secure and needs to protect itself against hacking, well, it can use blockchain technology. And of course, in the healthcare system, whether it's prescriptions, whether it's health records, all of these things, they're all data that has to be securely stored. And blockchain provides the solution for that. Insurance. Here we've got a real-world scenario where the American Association of Insurance Services has already begun automating insurance regulatory reporting and streamlining compliance requirements using OpenIDL, right? And this allows permission-based collection and sharing of statistical data. This is an existing function that's already in place with the AAIS in the US. Supply chain. So there's a lot of cases. Last time we touched on a little bit with Home Depot, and we talked a bit about IBM blockchain. IBM blockchain is providing services not in fringe industries or with fringe corporations or companies. We're talking about mainstream, big multinational companies that are using blockchain through IBM blockchain's system, including Walmart, that use it for transparency and reducing foodborne illnesses. You see it with Home Depot, using it to track purchases and to avoid or minimize vendor disputes. When it's recorded on the blockchain, well, disputes kind of become moot because you can't dispute something when it's securely recorded in an immutable way. IKEA, the furniture company, uses blockchain technology with AR to create digital twins of objects. So that product catalog that you see in the IKEA stores, when you're going in there and you're shopping around, if there's an IKEA in your area, you'll notice that they use this sort of particular style of branding. While using blockchain technology, they create digital twins so that you can see details about the production journey, components, materials, carbon footprints. So you get this whole trove of additional information. Okay, here we've got luxury and fashion. Now I think we've touched on the whole factor of NFTs, right? We've talked about how luxury brands, big brands, fashion, all of these entertainment sectors are using NFTs, to provide ownership and something unique to the user, right? Well, it's not limited to that. This Aura blockchain consortium was created in April 2021. Now, I was blown away. Do you realize how current and how recent this is? This is not even a year ago. We're talking about, actually, well, yes, it started in April last year, so it's a little over a year. And then for the implementation of that is going to take a little bit longer. At this point, exactly where they are, I don't know. But these are screen captures of current websites that I accessed literally the last few days. And you've got Aura Blockchain Consortium for LVMH, Prada, and Cartier, and then later joined by the OTB and Mercedes-Benz. So Mercedes-Benz is really promoting this concept. You can see on the right side of the slide where Mercedes is saying that blockchain is breaking the chains, pun intended, of its niche-like nature. It used to be a niche thing, like, oh, cool, really techie, really, hey, you know about blockchain, crypto, and all that stuff. Well, now, more and more companies are relying on safe, decentralized encoding technology for financial transactions, but not just that. With smart contracts, you can use blockchain so much more widely. And you can see that Mercedes has been researching and applying blockchain technology, including a pilot project for supply chains, right? Again, we see all of these usabilities popping up in all kinds of big global companies. And then possibly as sort of a competitor to the Aura Blockchain Consortium is Ariane. which has other big, massive brands like big luxury watch brands, Breitling, Piquet, Yves Saint Laurent, Lacoste. All of these, they build on the Ariane protocol. And here we've got energy and environment. So the World Economic Forum, together with PwC and Stanford Woods Institute, they created 65 blockchain use cases for the environment. So they've segmented sections of environmental issues. You know, there are 6 main categories. There's climate change, there's biodiversity, there's healthy oceans, there's water security, there's clean air, and there's weather and disaster resilience. So in all of these main big categories, they have identified 65 blockchain use cases divided between these main 6 categories. And they call it building blockchains for a better planet. So here you see it in the environmental sector. And it would be important to note that there's the element of carbon credits or renewable energy certificates also being able to be documented on blockchain, real-time data management, all of these different aspects that are right there. And it's so much fine print. You can go and research this further. You can go look it up on the internet. It's very fascinating. Then we've got legal and licensing, intellectual property, using blockchain to verify evidence and protect it from tampering. Electronic signatures, compliance, property rights, blockchain-based arbitration. You know, when there's a conflict, well, you can use the blockchain to facilitate that arbitration process, right? And you've got a situation here, another consortium called the Global Legal Blockchain Consortium. They're already applying blockchain technology right now as we speak. Real estate, this kind of blew me away. I already knew, you know, we've already talked about the impact on real estate from Web3 and from the blockchain, you know, but you've got real situations here. A couple of years ago, a $30 million real estate property in Manhattan was tokenized on the blockchain. You've got Propi, which buys and sells real estate using Web3, leveraging blockchain technology for faster, secure transactions. You've got property management. In the case of ManageGo, they're using blockchain to manage properties so that you can help with your residents, with your business, with your rent, with your, you know, upkeep and maintenance and all of these things. And you've got Ubiquity. Ubiquity is providing lots of blockchain-based tools, including NFT title deeds, you know, so securing your title deed and protecting it by storing it on blockchain using an NFT. That's another real-world scenario. Now, let's talk about the national level, okay? This is happening at the national level in many countries, and we already saw in the case of CBDCs that kind of gives us a little bit of a hint as to what regions may be kind of leading the charge, leading the way with blockchain and Web3. Well, just the other day, I saw this news item that the Prime Minister of Japan was stressing the importance of Japan's Web3 growth and talking about how they're going to unveil a big, ambitious metaverse project very soon. So at the policy level, with great levels of importance, with the Prime Minister involved, with the governor of Tokyo involved, they are emphasizing Japan's position as a leader in the Web3 space. And they even have this, look at this, a government DAO. They set up a government DAO. You can go look it up and find out more details about it. And they even were thinking to outpace the private sector in that. So that's Japan. Then you've got Hong Kong, no surprise there. You've probably been seeing the news items on this, that Hong Kong is serious about being a Web3 hub. They had such a massive amount of interest shown in their opening up to Web3 functions recently that they actually had to go and consult with Japan to get advice because they were starting to struggle with the amount of interest in it. You've got Singapore. Now, Singapore has been a little bit cautious because there's been some issues, of course, with this that we're talking about, the growing pains. That doesn't mean that they're throwing in the towel and quitting in the Web3 space. They're very much active there and very much planning to be big players in that. And of course, no surprise with Dubai, UAE. We've talked in the past about how they're putting a lot of money into being regional leaders or even global leaders in Metaverse and Web3. However, did you know that besides all of the crypto friendliness and all of these other factors, they're actually having national level policies to apply blockchain into government? Now, it says that Dubai would be the first city fully powered by blockchain by 2020. Of course, 2020 is 3 years ago. However, this information was updated. If you go to the website, it was updated this year in May, just a couple months ago. So this is not dated information. This is really current. Now, I don't know where they're at with this, but they're continuing on in that path. The Emirates Blockchain Strategy 2021, the Dubai Blockchain Strategy. So they want to use blockchain in all sorts of public sectors and public services and civil services that they offer to the public. So you're talking about things like vehicle registrations. You're talking about traffic rules. You're talking about taxation. All of these things that they would like to be the leaders of Web3 implementation, not just in crypto, but in general sectors. Now, this may be a surprise. People said China doesn't like crypto. Well, maybe they don't like crypto, but they're definitely not behind in the Web3 space. As much as they did outlaw cryptocurrency in order to possibly have other plans in place for how to use blockchain technology with financial mechanisms. However, as far as Web3, they're very active in that space. It says that they're going to allocate a minimum of 100 million yuan or 14 million US dollars every year until 2025 towards their Web3 plans, innovation and development. They're also having a national blockchain center to train 500,000 specialists in blockchain, 500,000 specialists. So we know how China is about the power in the workforce, and they're not going to be left behind. They're not back in the dark ages. These guys are really pushing forward in this space. So all of that is Asia, not a huge surprise. However, the UK is also not really willing to be left behind. They're very active. They're focusing on its Web3 vision, and it's saying here they announced plans to mint their own NFT to lead the way, and they're putting legislations in place. They're having all of these functionalities going on. As much as the US has been viewed as a little bit unfriendly towards crypto recently, it's more actually about a bit of friction there in terms of policy, because just today, or maybe it was yesterday, I read in the news that they have drafted new draft regulations and legislation related to crypto. They're pushing forward an aggressive crypto bill to go through into law so that they won't be left behind in this innovation. So that was my little tidbits on Web3. I hope it's not too tedious. It's a bit technical. However, I want us to understand the impact. When we're talking about Web3, it starts to sound like kind of a hip buzzword, a cool thing to be talking about, a trendy thing. But what we're needing to be aware of here is that Web3 isn't just a trend or fashion or a cool thing related to, what NFT you own or what your current stash of tokens is. We're talking about an actual revolution in technology, in the internet. So much so that it's a whole new space, 3.0, a whole new era. So we need to be aware of that, and not just aware of it, but proud that we are in a space that's very, very dynamic right now, and that's very, very impactful on the global scene, and in the space that's emerging, that's moving forward, that's going to have massive exponential growth in the very near future. And that's why I'm giving you all this techie stuff. Hopefully later you can go back and look at it and kind of digest it and pick and choose what you want. But it is it's just important to understand that it's a little bit technical and complicated because this is real world, and real world isn't all that simple sometimes, right? And we haven't even started talking about major infrastructural things like electricity or water management that can also be controlled by blockchain technology. All right, so now we're going to go back to our PowerPoint because we're going to do the free Platinum VIP ticket draw for this week. And as we announced previously, in case you missed that announcement, there was a little bit of a glitch last time we did the live, so we have to do a new draw for MetaQuiz 6. One of 123 numbers there. So if you bought tickets that went into the draw in MetaQuiz 6, well, you might be, just might be, the lucky winner of a free Platinum VIP ticket tonight or this afternoon, depending on how you want to put it. So, moment please. I'm going to open up our random result webpage. Here we go. As you can see, we're going to pick numbers 1 through 123. So drum roll. Brrr. And boom, 48. 48 is the lucky ticket number. After this, you can reach out to the support staff, the community managers, to find out if you are the lucky winner of ticket number 48. And for MetaQuiz number 7, it's one of 50 tickets in the draw. So take note, that was 48 for MetaQuiz number 6. And now we're going to MetaQuiz 7 with 50. And we're going to reset here. And drum roll again, draw. It's number 9. Ticket number 9 is MetaQuiz 7's lucky winner of a VIP Platinum ticket, which you do not want to miss. Okay, and remember that time is ticking. Time is ticking here for the Ocean Summit in Dubai in November. You don't want to miss out. It's going to be really cool stuff. We already looked at it in the video. And as you know, there's a special privilege for 100 top performers. So you can qualify to be one of the 100 free Platinum VIP tickets. And you can further qualify, conditions apply, to get one of 100 travel vouchers worth 1,500 USDT. Pretty cool stuff, all right? So you may get a free Platinum VIP ticket, and if you do the further qualification process that's all available in the data, then you will also get to travel there free of charge, or at least have a lot of your travel expenses covered. Maybe you can upgrade to a business ticket and use that 1,500 to offset your costs. Well, cool stuff. And news update, just fresh off the press. Now to qualify, you just need 7 points in total for that whole period up to the end of August 2023. So up until August 31st, right before midnight 2023, if you have achieved the 7 points total, which is 7 personally referred NFT number 4 fish or higher, that equals to 7 points. And of course, you have to be on the leaderboard and qualify. So there are 100 people on that leaderboard. If you want to be on that leaderboard, for sure, you will need to have 7 personally referred fish, and then you will be on that leaderboard, and there's all of the other qualifications as well, as you know. So you don't want to miss out on that. And remember that the early bird prices are still valid as of today. Today's the 27th, up until the 31st of July 2023, just a few days away now. You can still purchase a special early bird priced Ocean Summit Pass, whether it's silver or gold or Platinum VIP. That's up to you. So that is this session of YouTube Live with MetFi. So I'm going to check out if there's any questions that are going, but we have our community community managers there who are moderating that, so I don't really need to say much. Okay, OLED is actively involved here, actively involved in answering all of the questions. Smash the like. Oh, thanks, Matt. Here we've got somebody from Nigeria. Efa, thank you. Welcome. Good afternoon. Okay. From World MetFi 3i. That's a cool username. Manfred from Austria. Good evening. Thanks everyone for coming and for being with us for this session. As I said, I didn't want to make it too long. I realize there's a lot of data, like I said, but you know, it's helpful data. It's necessary data. This is ammunition. This is ammunition that you can share with people. You know, everyone isn't going to feel really very at ease about blockchain, right? People are going to hear about NFTs. They're going to hear about crypto. They're going to hear about metaverse. They're going to hear about all of these things. It's all over the news. And many people are going to be kind of a little bit afraid. I mean, goodness, I'm afraid of it sometimes. You know, it's a bit overwhelming. It's all very new. You know, people will be nervous about it. Like, okay, well, that's for young kids. That's for the next generation. That's not for me. I'm too old for this, or I'm not smart enough for this, or I'm not wealthy enough for this, or I can't access any of this stuff. Well, that's the cool thing. That's the key message that MetFi has for everyone here, that actually you can. Very soon, there's going to be the Plankton NFT, which is only 10 USDT. Only 10 USDT, you can actually have a part in this whole new world, this whole new era of the internet that's coming up very soon. So why not? A 10 USDT, you know, some places that's what it costs to buy a coffee. Sure, in some places where you can buy 10 coffees, but nonetheless, it's not a massive investment of any kind. It's very accessible to a wide range. And of course, as you know, there's the gifting option as well. Once the Plankton NFT is live in the system, once it's released in the system, then you can actually introduce people to MetFi easily and quickly with minimum amount of investment on your part through gifting them with a Plankton NFT to get them in there, get their feet wet, get them understanding, getting involved in this new space. So that is the opportunity that's awaiting very, very soon. It's coming up very soon, according to the devs. We're going to be seeing this Plankton NFT soon, and that will broaden the scope. That will make MetFi ready for a much wider mass market adoption, and it will make everyone here, all the believers, all the people that have stuck through this, through the thick and thin, and are here with us at MetFi now, it will give you the opportunity to access a bigger market and to invite more people into this community and have a part in these things we're talking about, in Web3, in Metaverse, and all of these things. So enough said. That's it for this evening. I hope that you all have a wonderful day or evening and a wonderful weekend after this, and we'll see you next time. Signing off.